His passport was as Kashmiri. He was sent by Jawaharlal Nehru. Our friends from BJP have a lot of, they are troubled when we talk about Kashmir. But if you remember, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee enters into Kashmir in 50s, late 50s. Anybody from India wanting to enter Kashmir needed a permission, a kind of visa to enter Kashmir. It's in 50s. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, a member of Indian Parliament, violated that. He entered into Kashmir without that permission. He was arrested and put in jail. And he died in Kashmir. You're not told all these facts. Today when you talk about this, when you talk about the right to self-determination, though it is a first act of international covenant of human rights, which India is also a party. When you talk about this right to self-determination, it is internationally norm. It's a norm world over to resolve these kind of issues. Through this right to self-determination, you have East Timor, you have Montenegro, very recently, in the very recent past. And when we talk about Kashmir, Kashmir is then labeled in different ways. The movement in Kashmir was not widened up to 80s, up to late 80s, rather in the early 90s. The Kashmir issue did not come up in 90s. It started way back, as I said, though our struggle started way back when British India was still there. But the movement started, this movement of right to self-determination starts from 47 itself. But it was not violent up to 80s, late 80s. The armed struggle started in Kashmir in 88. Until then, the people of Kashmir had explored all peaceful avenues, including participation in elections. The largest militant movement in Kashmir today is Hizbul Mujahideen. The Hizbul Mujahideen's chief commander Sayyid Salahuddin, he contested 87 elections from Lalchok. He was a candidate. He contested elections, he won the elections and was declared defeated after winning the elections and put behind the bars. Yasin Malik, the chief commander of JKLF, then he was one of his polling agents. They were all put behind the bars. And after exploring all these peaceful avenues, people of Kashmir, especially the youth, were fed up. They were pushed to the wall to pick up the guns. And when this movement starts, it was labeled not a freedom movement, not a movement for self-determination, but again the propaganda was that it is an anti-Hindu movement. The exodus of Kashmiri Pandits from Kashmir was one of the instruments. Exodus happens when there was curfew, continuous curfew for months together in Kashmir Valley. Who provided the transport? It remains a question. Who provided the transport? Who facilitated their exit from Kashmir? So then it was labeled as anti-Hindu movement, Islamist movement, anti-Hindu movement. You know, when we talk about right to self-determination of the people of Kashmir, no one in Kashmir, no one says that right to self-determination for the Muslims of Kashmir. We say right to self-determination for the people of Kashmir, which includes Hindu, Sikh, Christian, everybody from Kashmir, from Jammu and Kashmir, which existed on in 1947, 14 August 1947, which includes the parts of Pakistan, Bangla administered Kashmir as well. This is again a question. You know, when we talk about Kashmir, we are again labeled as Pakistanis. You know, this label it has a significance itself. I never paid attention to this. Once I was talking to one of my friends from Nagaland. We were talking about, you know, the behavior of army towards people in different regions. When we exchanged our experiences, he said, you know, yes, there is brutality, but the kind of behavior you're talking about is not, it does not, it is not exhibited in Nagaland. Why is it in Kashmir? And I never paid attention to this before. But that day I was forced to look into this aspect. And I found it is the tale of Pakistan. The baggage of partition, not in South India, but the baggage of partition, that hatred, which is still in North India. When you add Pakistani tag to something, you know, it incites the hatred. Many folds. The moment you add a tag of Pakistan to something. That's why when you talk about Kashmir, you are labeled as Pakistani, because then the hatred gets, many folds. We don't say that, people ask them why this movement against of self-determination is not on the other side. Why are you not fighting against the Pakistani administration over there? The reason is very simple. Pakistani constitution explicitly says that Kashmir is not an integral part of Pakistan. Very explicitly says that Kashmir is not an integral part of Pakistan, and Kashmiris, after achieving their freedom, can decide about their relationship with Pakistan. Pakistan, day in and day out, says that right to self-determination of the people of Kashmir is their basic right, and it is for them to decide about their future. Now, how sincere Pakistan is in this saying, that we can only test when we put them on test. We will put them to test. To put them on test, that opportunity India has to give us. India has to agree for that. You see, the other, I will say that, different kinds of things. You say, as you have heard about Salvajudam, you have heard about the Gramin Suraksha Samitis and other things in different areas in India. But you haven't heard about village defense committees in Kashmir. There are village defense committees for a long